90s and early 2000s really were the age of experimental arts and creativity. Then the 2010s have been the age of reboots. I mean, really, is there any classic Disney movie that they're not making a live-action reboot of? They're doing Dumbo, they're doing Lion King, which are two weird choices right there. They did The Jungle Book, Aladdin. Pretty sure they're planning on doing The Little Mermaid somewhere in the future, which would have been a decent live-action movie, right? But given that all these other live-action movies are terrible, I have no faith in it. And what was the first live-action movie that Disney pushed? I think it was Maleficent. And that was like the Sleeping Beauty live-action adaptation. That was awful. That was an awful movie. They took like one of the most evil, coolest Disney villains of all time, and they just turned her into like this sympathetic, like whiny woman who doesn't know what she wants. They turned Prince Philip into a complete dunce who can't even kiss his princess awake. That's like one of the only roles he has, right? Is that he kisses her awake. As it turns out, his love means nothing. Only the villain's love means something, and it's so stupid. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, what do you want them to do? Just keep it all the same? You want them to just make it the exact same story? Keep the exact same script? No, I don't want them to do that. But if you're going to adapt something, if you're going to change something, create a whole new script, which is what an adaptation is, make it good. In fact, try to make it better than the original. But if you make it worse than the original, then of course I'm going to compare it because the original was better. That's just how it works. People think that I want everything to always be the same every time it gets an adaptation. I don't. I just want it to be better. And some of those Disney classic movies, they're so good that you have such high expectations from the get-go. You have to make it better than like Aladdin, and Aladdin is this masterpiece. So yeah, it's gonna be hard. And right now, they're off to a rocky start from what we've seen. I think the real problem with these movies is that they're made for the sole purpose of just being cheap. Just cheap movies that you can just pump out for money, and people go to see it in the theaters. Disney movies nowadays get so much more money in the theaters than they used to, and it's mainly because, you know, Disney has their whole press, they push social media, they do much better on promoting their stuff with ads. So that doesn't mean that these movies are super high quality, and you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at the CGI. It looks terrible. It looks so awful. And you didn't have to make it a CGI movie. Of all movies you could have made, you didn't have to make this complicated live-action CGI movie that looks terrible. You could have spent your money on something actually worthwhile. And I'm not really even sure how do you pick the writers for going on these live-action movies? Because so far it feels like they're just random. They're just random writers that they choose. What experience did Aaron Kruger have for writing the new Dumbo movie? He's never written a Disney classic movie. He's never written a Disney style movie. I don't think he's written any Disney movie whatsoever, or had any experience in Disney whatsoever. He just comes around, has a script ready, and then they're like, sure, we'll give you the money to do that. Why? Like, the only movies I know that he's worked on were Transformers, you know, not the best movies over there, and then a bunch of horror movies. So I don't think he's qualified to write a Disney movie, if you ask me. Maybe the idea is that they were like trying to make dark reboots of Disney movies to ruin everybody's childhood or something. Because I heard that the Christopher Robin movie was really dark, and it looks dark. It looks creepy as all heck. I would never take my kid to watch that movie. I mean, really, every single one of those stuffed animals, nightmare fuel. And the lighting is also very horror-esque. Why? Why is that? Why are you making that movie? Kids love Winnie the Pooh. That's a Disney classic right there, Winnie the Pooh. Why are you making it creepy horror nightmare fuel? I think the weirdest part about a lot of these Disney adaptations, a lot of them is like working off of the same script as the original cartoon. So they're using like basically the same points, the same plot points in the original story, and they're using the same music in the original movie. It's not how actual adaptations work. You don't work off of the same script, add something new in there, and maybe like edit one thing, and then you're like, okay, new movie. But when you write an adaptation for something, you're supposed to write an entirely new script. You're taking inspiration from the original, right? From the original story, but you're not actually just copying and pasting original parts of the story. You especially don't reuse the same music. And that's what I mean about it being cheap. They can't even make new music for this movie. They have to just reuse the old one. And like in the meantime, they're pumping out all of these reboot movies. And then they're pumping out the Marvel movies. And then like, what? 3 kids movies on the side at a time. I feel like they're wasting so much money with these live action reboots, and all that money could be spent on something worthwhile. You know? Like, hey, how about you bring back 2D animation with that money? Because I know Disney can afford 2D animation. If they could afford it in the 1930s, I'm pretty sure they can afford it now. And that is like the main reason why they use so much 3D animation, so much CGI, is just because it's cheaper to do. It's cheaper, more efficient, takes less time, but it sure as heck does not look as nice, now does it? And fun fact, 3D animation, that's not by any means like taking over because of popularity. Every single poll has shown that people prefer 2D animation over 3D animation. So I don't know what they're trying to do with replacing that. They think we're gonna like it more if we just see it more or something. Why, Bob Iger? Why? You are killing Walt's legacy here. You know, honestly, I feel like if these were real passion projects, they might be very, very good. And Disney being like one of the most powerful, successful companies at the top for children's films, and now like every film, they have always been the role model for all these other children film creators. So like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, of course, they've always been copying the Disney model. So Disney started doing a lot of reboots, and then you have Cartoon Network over here who starts pumping out the reboots. Oh my goodness, Cartoon Network reboots are awful. Has there ever been a good Cartoon Network reboot? You see the Powerpuff Girls reboot? What is that? And the worst part about it really is that they never changed the name. They never changed the name of the reboots. So every time you search the original show, that one's gonna pop up. The new one's gonna pop up. And it's going to annoy the crap out of you because it's not the same thing. What's also sad about it is that the original creators have to look at what happened to their work, and they can't do anything about it because they don't own the rights to their own work. And they have to just watch it be destroyed and dismantled in front of them. Poor Craig McCracken. So I don't know who's actually been out to see the Dumbo movie or the Maleficent movie or the, what else did they do? Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast looked really bad, didn't it? Like, it just, visually, it just looks bad. You look at it and you're like, ew. What was the girl playing Belle? Emma Watson? She did not fit the role of Belle at all. She always had a cold expression too whenever she was playing Belle. Like her expression just looked bitter and sarcastic and that's not the impression that Belle gives off. You know, she's very happy and inviting. She just wants to read books to the kids, you know? But yeah, they hired lazy people to write a lazy movie, and they know that it's going to get views just because it has nostalgia smacked on it. And you know, apparently people just like seeing stuff in live action, even if it looks worse in live action. I mean, I've been guilty of this. I was super hyped to watch that Maleficent movie, and then after I watched it, I wanted to kill myself. But to answer the question that I've been asked many a times, no, I'm not gonna see the live action Lion King movie. no, I'm not gonna see any of the live action Disney movies anymore. They are all garbage. They are all lazy. They look terrible. I don't know why anyone wants to see them. I guess people just haven't learned their lesson after the first few bad movies. Maybe they're just hopeful for the sake of being hopeful. But that's just my view. Let me know what you think below in the comments. Do you think that these live action movies are good? Have you enjoyed a lot of them? What do you think about the new Lion King movie coming out? Are you going to see it? I mean, really, the live action Lion King isn't really live action, because unless they taught these animals how to speak and move like that, I'm pretty sure they're still animating them. That's gonna be it for me. Remember to like the video, sub if you're not subbed, because I make good videos. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Program restart.